I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications in North Alabama, and then all over the world you can find us on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. It's raining outside. You're going to probably hear a little bit of thunder out there as well, so I decided to go ahead. I wanted to do something about the garden, so we went on ahead and Phil gathered some okra for us. So I'm going to show you how to can okra, and you use vinegar and water and salt. Now it needs to be the plain salt, and I'll show you how to go on ahead and get that put together. And the really surprising element about this is you can actually take this canned okra, you need to wash all the vinegar and water out of it, and you can fry it. Then I'm going to show you how to fry okra when we get through with this. So we're going to try to do all of this in 30 minutes. So I've already cut up okra, so let's go ahead and move a few things out of the way. It looks like we're going to have 3 quarts of okra. I've already cut some of it up and put it in the jar as well. That's a spam risk. You get those calls all the time, honestly. I thought they were going to try to stop that. Can't be stopped. So I wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, when you're cutting up the okra, and doesn't it always remind you of those Cheerios when you were a kid, Cheerios? So what you want to do is cut the top part off, okay? And I want to put this over here to the side because the chickens love this. So we'll throw it out there. You need to cut in small slices you possibly can. So I've saved a few of them so you can see what I'm doing. So there's one, and go ahead and cut that tip off. And if you see any brown spots on the okra, you need to also cut that off. So, but I think we're doing pretty good here. Make sure none of that stem gets in here. It won't hurt you, it's just not as pretty with the stem in there. Okay, and there's one that looks like a slit. Okay, here I am. I'm cutting a little bit off. Now, I wanted to explain another thing to you about cutting your okra. First of all, if it's hard to cut, throw it away. Give it to the cows or the pigs, or find a neighbor who has a farm and let them have it. And because cows and pigs and chickens love this stuff. Okay, so I've got everything cut up, and I've got everything in jars, but we're going to save this because I'm going to show you how to fry it. And I've got a really great recipe for doing that. Okay, so let me go ahead and move a few other things out. My little trusty funnel thing, I don't know if that was mother's or my grandmother's, but anyway, that thing comes in handy. It's less mess. Okay, so I've got everything wrapped up in the jars, and let me go ahead and give you the ingredients really quick. First of all, you need some dill seed, and this is some dill seed I took care of last year. And what you do, you can put it in the dehydrator if you want to, but you really don't have to. So as my dill is actually coming to the seed form, it'll be kind of like a little bouquet, almost like a flower. And so what you'll do is you cut that off, and with a stem, leave it as long as you can, put it upside down, and make sure you put some newspaper or parchment paper or something down where any of the seeds fall off. It'll catch it. You can also put it in a bowl. That'll help too. But make sure that it's good and dry, because if it has any kind of moisture to it whatsoever, it's going to mold. But you can see, I put it in salads, I put it in everything. But this recipe calls for dill seed. Oh, and also you need to go ahead and start boiling your water. I've got a little stove going right here. I've already started boiling the water for the lids, for the canning lids. But I have in my pot, I have 1 cup water and 4 cups of vinegar. Actually, I doubled that recipe, so I've got 2 cups of water and 4 cups of vinegar. So you can see why it's going to be really important that you drain this out, and you need to wash it when you open up the can, because you want to get all that vinegar out. But I'm going to tell you, this makes the absolute best fried okra, and you're going to think it was just gathered from the garden. It's that good. Now, this recipe came from my cousin, and her name is Maddie Bearden. And so Maddie lives out close to Poplar Springs, out that area, and so she's Mother's first cousin. So it was really, really neat close this drawer so you won't see my mess. I didn't catch that part. And so anyway, you'll also take 1/2 cup of canning salt. Now what that means is it's not iodized, so you can see it's plain salt. Okay, now you need to get your groceries at Albertville Foodland. Okay, Albertville Foodland is a great place to buy your groceries. I get everything there. If you go in the front door, one of the front doors, but go to the one that's over to the right hand side, and there's always a cart out there with vegetables on it, maybe a little bit old, maybe bananas and things like that. And I know somebody sent me a banana bread recipe yesterday, and so I'm going to go ahead and try that out. I'll get some bananas. I'm going to go back to the grocery store on Friday, and they'll probably have some in a cart. If they're really kind of black looking, as the peel looks black, perfect for putting in the freezer and perfect for making banana bread. Now you may get a little bit of that dark part on the inside. Always cut that off. I don't like that. It wouldn't hurt you. I just don't think it's as pretty. So you'll take that part off, kind of shave it off, and then put it in the freezer. And then when you're ready for some awesome banana bread, you got it. That's going to be awesome. Okay, now I have went on ahead and cut up enough okra for 3 quarts. This is going to be just a little bit under 3 quarts. And I've got my little trusty funnel right here. So we're going to go ahead and start adding the ingredients. I'll go ahead and turn this off. Yeah, okay, I got that turned off. And we've boiled. You've got to make sure that this is boiled, okay? And it needs to be a good rolling boil, okay? And you don't have to worry so much about doing a water bath with these because of all that vinegar that's in there. It's going to last forever. I've tested this out because we've been doing this for a number of years, and just to see how long it'll last, I do have a jar put in my pantry that is, I think it's about 4 years old, and I'm not eating it or anything. I just want to see how long it's going to last and see how vibrant that color is. It'll turn just a little bit of a pale color when you add the water and the vinegar mixture in there with it. Okay, let's go ahead and add the ingredients in the jar. So what we've got here, it's going to call for, make sure I've got my ingredients right. Oh yeah, you can put 1 tablespoon of garlic. You can do red pepper if you'd like, and then the dill seed per jar. So I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of the dill seed per jar. I'm putting that in there. Right there. And by the way, if you, let's say it's the time of the year where your dill weed isn't coming up and it starts turning to seed, either one works. Now, if it's the first part of the year, I can go ahead and just use the dill weed. But I'll have to tell you, I really do like the strong flavor the dill seeds give you. Make sure you always keep that lid tight, okay? And I would always put it in a jar. I just think a jar does a better job with that. So anyway, there's my dill seed. And we've already put the plain salt into the water, and that has been boiling. So we got that going on. That's rocking. Okay, now you also want a tablespoon per quart. You want a tablespoon of garlic, okay? Fresh garlic is much better. So let's go ahead and put that in there. So it has that rocking and rolling. And we'll move this out of the way. I'll put him right over here. Now something I add that Maddie doesn't put into hers, I like to go ahead and add, I like to go ahead and add some sage leaves. And these come from a garden. And you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to tell you what, if you ever raise your own sage, you'll never buy it in a can again, ever. So I always like to put a couple in each jar. And I like to kind of bruise it. And what I mean by bruising it, you'll go ahead and pull the stem off. See, it's got a pretty thick stem on the very first part of it. So what I'll do is I'll take that and then I'm cut it in quarters. And I'm going to do maybe 3 per jar. It just gives it a really nice flavor. Now, if you like another herb better, it's also good using rosemary. Yeah, that's really good. And sometimes I fry my okra in rosemary. It's got that woody kind of smell to it. All right, so let's go ahead and put that one in there. Again, I'm tearing off the stem. And I wanted to remind you, when you're cutting up the okra, if your knife won't cut through it, toss it. Okay, you need to give that to some farmer, and let his animals have it. Now, you can also save the seed. Yeah, I've done that before too. And okra, I think it's an old original native Indian. I guess I'm part Indian. I know it's hard to believe it, but I am. And I think the Indians, the native Indians in America, actually had, I don't know that they invented it or anything like that, but anyway, they grew it. They grew okra right here. So I guess that's why I've got such a longing for okra to eat. I like to, and you can do that with this okra too. If you wanted to put some up and not cut it, or cut it in pieces, you can do that as well. But you can pickle it just like you would dill pickles and just eat it straight out of the jar. But this very same recipe, again, that's going to be 1 tablespoon of dill weed and 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. We got that in there. And then you can use red pepper if you'd like to do that, and if you'd like to have a little heat to it. And then also make sure when you use salt, and this is the ratio to the recipe, you want 1 cup of water, 4 cups of vinegar, and 1/2 cup of plain salt. It does make a difference. What I've noticed about it is it seems to fry better. It kind of gives you the better texture when you use the plain salt. All right, you ready to go ahead and pour this stuff up, and then we're going to seal it. All right, let's see if I guessed on this. So the water has been boiling. Let's go ahead and pour it in the jar. And y'all have told you want to heat the jars. Make sure your jars are well sterilized. Ooh, I just got a whiff of that vinegar. Vinegar is so good for you. You can use it for cleaning. Vinegar is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and fill this one up. Alrighty. Okay. I see a little stem there. Okay, took that off. Alright, we're going to place this right here. Okay, now let's take this off. And I'll go ahead and put this down in with my... And again, I don't waste any of the scraps. My chickens are going to go running for this. They'll love it. Okay. Now, like I've told you before, make sure you get all the water. And then, you know, okra, it can be a little slimy. Well, it can be a lot slimy. So what you want to do is make sure you wipe that rim off really well. Okay. And let's go ahead and get the lids, and you know you need to boil those, and just put it in boiling water. Not boil forever, but you know just a good couple of minutes. And use your fork. Let's put that on a towel. And the reason you want to do that is to kind of soften up the rubber part on the lid. Hope y'all can see I have a lot of tomatoes coming in this year too. I'll do another show and show you how to make salsa. Yeah, and that salsa, you can put that up, and salsa and chips if you want to. Now make sure you wipe that off too, because you don't want any moisture on that rim. Okay, let's go ahead and put that on there. Let's get another one and dry it off. But I like to have okra, and you can drain all this out. Now make sure you drain it and wash it good, like I said before, to get the moisture, and make sure you get all the vinegar out of it. Otherwise you're going to have vinegar kind of taste to it. I happen to like vinegar, so I would be okay with it. Okay, I'm going to put those lids on. Okay, right there. Make sure you tighten it really good. All right. So guess what? When it's really cold outside and you're missing the garden, you're going to have some fresh tasting okra. It's going to be just as if you went out in the snow or the frost and cut up some okra. You're going to love it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I actually fry my okra. I've got a real easy, I like easy. You know, we work all the time. There's always something going on, and you know, something going on at church or whatever. And so I like to make my recipes just as easy as I possibly can. So I'm going to maneuver a few things right here. I love cooking with my wooden spoon. These spoons I've had for, I don't know, probably 30 years maybe. So I've been cooking with them for a long time. You take care of your spoons. Now, I paid a little bit for my spoons, okay? And it's very worth it. Very, very worth it. Okay, I'm going to clean off an area. So instead of taking you over to my stove, I have one of these little plates, and we're going to use that. Okay, I'll go on ahead and turn him on. Now I'll move it over here. And I really like these things. It really conducts the heat really well. Okay, put it right there. I don't think it wants to move here. All right, now you know how I am about my skillet. Okay, so I love frying everything in the skillet. And I always use a cloth to just kind of wipe it off. Because, and this is always Phil's job, he always wants to make sure that we have plenty of oil in those things. So to make your skillet never, look bad and I can kind of like mar up a little bit, this will always stay looking new. All right, now, another thing I want to show you is my olive oil. Okay, olive oil is something, you know how I skimp now. I like to save money. But the one thing I really don't like to skimp on is the kind of olive oil I use. And I really do like this one right here. First of all, you don't have to use as much. And it's just really good olive oil. And that's what I use. Now, my grandmother used to use lard. And actually, lard's better for you than people used to think it was. A lot of people would use a shortening like a Crisco or something like that. But I just like to use olive oil. So I'll go ahead and put some of that in there. I've also used sunflower oil. That's good too. I'm putting probably about 5 tablespoons in there. And I like to let it get really hot. And so I'm going to show you the ingredients I put in here. Okay, this is going to be shocking to you. Sometimes you can put an egg if you'd like to do that, and eggs are really good too. But I like to use mayonnaise. And so I've been tricking everybody in the family because everybody, we've always done an egg in it. Well, mayonnaise has egg in it. So I'm going to go on ahead and put, and this is probably about 2 cups of okra. So, and I'll tell you my favorite mayonnaise is Duke's mayonnaise. But this is good too. This is Kraft, and use real mayo, okay? It's not good using the dressing. It needs to be the real mayonnaise. All right, so this is going to be about, guessing, about the equivalent of 3 tablespoons. Okay? I know it sounds crazy. It sounds all kinds of weird and all this kind of stuff, but we're going to try this. And I'm going to let you see what, and I've got another secret ingredient that I like to use. Sometimes I will use the packets of ranch dressing. I've done that before. See, the neat thing about this is I don't have to worry about beating the egg. It's something I've got to hurry up and do. I'm in a big hurry. I've got 1,000 things I've got to do. Throw some mayonnaise in it. And see, you want it to coat it real well. So I like the way that's coating it. So guess what we're going to have for supper tonight? We're going to have some fried okra. Tis the time of the year. Okay, now I'm going to add this as a green onion mix, and also at Albertville Foodland, they have this in the store brand. And I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that in there, and it gives it this really neat oniony kind of a flavor. Okay, oh, and it smells really good. And also, I'm going to put about a tablespoon of garlic. So there we go. Putting that in there. And I like to salt and pepper mine. I'm going to wait until it actually starts kind of, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a minute. It's getting hot, but I want it to kind of make a wave look. You know what I mean? When you've got the oil in the pan and it's kind of wavy looking. So it's almost to that point. Okay. And I like to use it. I'm hooked on Martha White. Okay, and this is cornmeal. And so I'm going to put just enough. Don't put too much, but you want just enough to where it kind of gives it a crunch, you know? That's what everybody likes about their okra. Okay, see, it's coating it, but I need to put just a bit more. And that mayonnaise kind of, it holds on kind of like a sponge. So it holds on to the okra. And put just a bit more. of the cornmeal mix. Now, sometimes I'll have it. I'll put maybe some flour in there too. But this time we're just going to do it this way. Make sure you got a plenty big enough bowl. If this is not a big enough bowl, there's no such thing. Now, I want to show you. Well, I think I need to put just a little bit more. You'll just learn, you'll tell by the way something looks when you're cooking. You're going to see a cake coming up pretty soon that I baked using my hands. Okay, now it'll start smoking just a little bit. Now don't let it flame up, but let it smoke just a little bit. And I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of has that little rolling look to it. And that's what I'm looking for. Okay, let's go ahead and add this. Now I don't put all of it in there, okay? And I just found it does better. So what I'm going to do is put just about half of that, and you'll hear it sizzle. That's the sound I like. Now don't put it all in there, because if you put it, you'll just add it. Don't you just love that sizzling sound? And in just a second, what I'll do is I'll move my camera down so you can see what it looks like. Oh, it smells glorious with those herbs and stuff in it. I like to put sage. Sometimes I'll put a little bit, let's put some dill weed in it. That tastes good, isn't it? Oh, we're going to put some of that in there. Be creative. And remember, this is your recipe. So if this is something you'd rather have rosemary, by all means, put rosemary in there. But if I would put all of this in there, it's going to cool down the olive oil too much. I don't want it to cool it down. Okay, let's see. My dill weed. And so what I'm going to do, let's move this out of the way just for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Make sure you got this. Don't want to damage the top. Okay. See what I'm talking about? So you put just a little bit of that in there. Let's go ahead and add some dill weed. I turn it on high for just a few minutes. Boy, that's going to taste good in that dill weed. See, all through the year, it's all, even when it's so cold outside, and I'm driving you all crazy because I want to be outside and I'm stuck inside. You can bring the summer in if you'll just can your foods. Now I'm going ahead and give you that recipe again. I'm not sure how much time I've got. Oh, I've still got a little time. So what I want to use to this, first of all, to can it, and see it's already started kind of changing colors. Okay, so in order to can it, what you're going to need is 1 tablespoon of dill seed. Do your own. You still got plenty of time. Go to a hardware store or somewhere and just buy a dill plant. Now make sure you keep it watered, because this is the time of the year where everything gets, today we got a lot of water. But you're kind of at the time of the year where you don't have as much rain, and it's going to ruin it if you don't. I prefer to put mine in pots, and you can do that. Now mine, I have some out close to the strawberries, and it just comes up volunteer every year. And what happens, those little dill seeds fall into the ground, and they just pop up from anywhere. And I leave them alone because I use a lot of dill. Okay, 1 tablespoon of dill seed. I'm looking at Maddie's recipe right now. And then 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Now this is per quart, okay? And then 1 tablespoon of red pepper if you'd like to use that. And then I get this stuff to boiling here, okay? So I use 1 cup of water, 4 cups of vinegar. And this is now that will make about 6 pints, okay? So I doubled the recipe. I had just a little bit left over. And I don't throw anything away. So all I'm going to do is put this in a jar. And then I'm going to have it for the next batch that comes in. I'll heat that up along with what I've got. And it's vinegar. It's not going to ruin it. So you're going to use 1/2 cup of canned salt, not iodized. It's got to be plain salt. And you can get the Albertville Foodland store brand on that. It's just as good as the national brand. Okay, I think this is calling for me to turn it. And then you'll need 1 cup of water, 4 cups of vinegar. And again, you can use that very same recipe for pickles. And you make some good pickles. Pickles depends on how big they are. Let's see, I got that turned up all the way. Okay, now I want you to see what I'm doing now. Okay, so I went on ahead and I turned. I wish you could smell this. I'm smelling all the dill. I'm smelling all this great stuff. So what I'm going to do is kind of make a little well right here in the middle. See that? I'm making a well. And the reason I'm doing that is all of the okra that I did not put in is going to go right in the middle because that's where the hottest part is. It's the hottest part of the stove eye. Okay, and I'm just putting the rest of it in there. Okay, there we go. This is going to be some good okra for supper tonight. And if you'll do it this way, you're going to find too you're using less oil. And that's the whole idea. You want it to fry, you've got to use enough, but this is using less oil. Okay, looks like I've got just a little bit over 2 minutes left, so let's go ahead and kind of make a little stir on this again. And you can still see the oil in there because I got it hot. And then I put half of it, half the okra in the skillet. And really a skillet will help you save more oil than you think, more than using anything else. So I put half of it in there, fried it, and it's getting a little bit golden brown on it. Then I did a little stir, made a little well in the middle. You can go back and review this video and see what I just did. And then I went on ahead and added the rest of it in there. And so that's how you do it. That's how you cook okra. Now I'm going to salt and pepper it after it cooks. There's something about the salt. It tastes fresher when you do it that way. Okay, we're going to have a show coming up pretty soon. I'm going to show you how to make beanie burger. You ever heard of beanie burger? There's a lady who used to go to church with us when I was a kid, and I loved going to her house on Sundays. And she would say, well, what do you kids want to eat? We'd all yell out at the same time, beanie burger. So what she would do is get ground beef, and then she would scramble it and fry it up. And then I'm going to show you the rest of the recipe later, but I'll explain that to you then. Okay, less than a minute left. Thank you so much for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. This is in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama. Then you can find us on Worldwide TV, and that's on Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I sure do love you a whole bunch, and I love spending time with you. Thank you again so much for watching. I so appreciate it. We'll be talking to you a little bit later. Make sure you stay tuned to all of our other shows on social media, okay? I'll be talking to you.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see